and Sterling Warner. Sterling came down with COVID. We were all concerned about her this past beginning of the month of June. In spite of this significant obstacle, she sold 175 units in the month of June. And she's been averaging 145 units for the last 4 months. She is one extremely focused and tenacious individual. You see, y'all, it's not what happens to you that determines how far you will go in life. It's how you handle what happens to you that determines how far you go in life. Jordan Yoakum invested a half a day assisting our partner, Trevor DeJarnett, booking appointments and phone calling so that Trevor could cross the line to this beautiful CEO Night of Champions that we'll celebrate later this week. That's exactly who we are, Jordan. You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. How about Haley Culpepper, Selena Chavez, and Hannah Falk? They all started around the same time, and they have banded together as sisters at Tom James to support each other, to help each other, to lean on each other, to encourage each other. They together have learned how to do Zoom presentations. They say that we are better together than we are apart. I think about our office and leadership in Denver. Tristan and Grant both surpassed quota this month. Wendy Acott has reportedly stayed late most evenings to help review orders and support our new partners in our Denver office. Wendy, thank you for your great leadership. It reminds me of that wonderful principle that Spencer shared with us long ago, and that is that there's a destiny which makes us all brothers. None can go their way alone. What you put in the lives of others will always come back into your own. How about Nicole Carlson? She will surpass her quota this month despite tremendous difficulty, not only with COVID, but in the passing of her grandmother. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, Nicole, as you continue to grieve your loss. But yet that hadn't swayed your resolve. It's incredible to see your determination and focus amidst many, many challenges and heartaches. It reminds me that sometimes the bravest and most important thing for all of us is just to show up on a daily basis. Nicole, you've certainly done that. Paul Adler, as well, has experienced some very significant loss in his family with the passing of his father about 2 months ago. Paul himself, a month later, contracted COVID, and that is with having significant responsibilities of his son. Paul's been a rock in our London office and with his team and clients. Paul, we don't always see what each other are dealing with outside of the office, and you didn't bring up any excuses. You just continue to be exceptional and responsible to our company, to our teammates, and to our family. And we thank you so much. And our thoughts and prayers continue to be with each and every one of your family. Outstanding people, you all have one thing in common, an absolute sense of mission. Paul, that describes you. How about Eric Seip and Kay Kaczorowski, as they have learned numerous Zoom calls and helping their partner, new partner, Taylor Moss. Taylor's in her very first selling month this month. Taylor's done more than 8 new clients by herself this past week as a result of the mentorship and the modeling and the guidance that Kay and Eric have provided her. You see, y'all, that's just who we are at Tom James. We work as a team. It reminds me of what amazing things we can accomplish when we don't worry about who gets the credit. How about Nick and Kevin in our Tom James newest office, Tom James of Fox Valley? Y'all, they will do over 160% of quota this month. And to get it done in this particular environment Nick has said that he is dialing the phone between 80 and 100 times per day, and just showing absolute grit and determination each and every step of the way. This month, June, is just the 5th month for this brand new office in Fox Valley. I want to thank both of you all for your stewardship of the green light to open Fox Valley and continue this beautiful Tom James story in the Fox Valley neck of the woods. How about out in California? Beautiful things are happening out there, not only with Michael Latuca, but first and foremost, to start with Michael. He sold 200 in January, 183 in February. He started to adjust in the month of March with 88, and then on to 99, 112, and this month, y'all, in June, 161 and counting. Orange County, the office that he works in, is following suit. 151 in March, 172 in April, 188 in May, and 273 in June. Not to be outdone by the whole Southern California sales force as a whole. 367, 568, and 683. It reminds me that things work out best for those who make the best of how things work out. Well done, Southern California. Our partner here in Indianapolis, Josiah Kaufman, he shows us the power of affirmation. He reads and looks at every day. I am relentless, I'm competitive, I'm optimistic and enthusiastic. People like working with me. I give world-class service. I'm thirsty for knowledge. He also believes in the principle of appreciation. He dropped a note on my desk yesterday, and he said 3 really profound things. Every challenge is what you make of it. Though some choose to view life's troubles as plagues that afflict, you can change your perspective to see them as opportunities to grow and to see what you're really made of. The second thing he says is, I firmly believe that through my passionate pursuit of a personal and worthwhile goal, I may achieve much in the blink of an eye as I create my own luck through activity. And then thirdly and lastly, he says, I truly am part of a loving family here. Other than my beloved wife, Crystal, and both of our families, the people at Tom James have been a great source of encouragement, inspiration, and community to me in this time. You see, y'all, Josiah understands, like the rest of us, gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for. Y'all, I want to give great appreciation to some of our support. Kevin Nairn, Marcy Adams, and Michelle Stevens. These 3 partners of ours are so responsible for keeping each of us in the know throughout Tom James, doing it through text, through our 1 billion Instagram account, for Review All announcement, through craft, focal points, bonus videos, and so much more. And y'all, with our reduced staff in our home office, they are getting more done in less time, and they've responded like absolute champions. And not only have they expressed their gratitude for their opportunity and their service at Tom James, but they continue to even more so by asking, what else can I do? Thank you to the 3 of you all. How about our IT department? They are making a decision to continue our fight in these times. It might sound simple, but it involves all kinds of behind the scenes work. You see, y'all, without the ability to do payment now, measurements later, none of our pursuits in April and May would have worked. Our IT department has shouldered not only a myriad of adjustments, to face COVID, but they've implemented a huge CRM integration project with outreach. They've retooled our secured site in various ways to support the launch of our women's line. And they've done all of this with a reduced staff. Paul Combs is often working until 7, 8, 9 o'clock almost every night since COVID hit, and working almost every single weekend. Y'all, we owe a great debt of gratitude to our IT department for doing all the work behind the scenes. Thank you to each and every one of you all, and for doing such an exemplary job with even fewer people. Y'all, how about our mill in Tomé, Chile? You see, y'all, they were absolutely cranking as COVID hit. And after about a month and a half, they had caught up with all of the shipments that we will need, not only this summer, but also for the fall. And just like good team members do, Craig sat down with them and said, y'all, we have more fabric right now than we currently need. And for the betterment of the team, it would be best for us to shut down our operations, because we expend about $500,000 to keep that operation in Tomé going on a monthly basis. And y'all, even though it was going to cost every single person in the facility personally, they made the decision for the betterment of our Tom James family. Craig said it was a short discussion, and they didn't even hesitate. But you see, that's what people do. That's what families do. We support each other and make the right and responsible and principled decision. Our facility, y'all, in Santiago, TJ Chile, they were also just cranking. And about a month and a half into COVID, they ran out of work. We sent our folks home, and just as you all were getting cranked up and increasing our production, we brought them back, only for that facility to be shut down by the government mandates, as Chile was one of the last countries to be hit hard with COVID. And then each of them, they get 2 hours twice a week, either personally or professionally, to be able to venture out to their homes where they have to log in and log out. They each took their own personal time and went to our facility to ship our fabrics in Santiago, to their detriment, but for the betterment of our customers and each of you all, to ship that fabric to our facility in Copley, so that we could carefully, meticulously provide a world-class garment for our customers that we're anxiously anticipating. And once again, y'all, even though it would be to their detriment, here they fall to the cause of Tom James. Our partners in Santiago at TJ Chile, thank you all for being such amazing part of our Tom James family. And then English American, y'all. Y'all know that EA, about the 1st of April, was mandated to close by our government. Within about a week and a half, Craig tirelessly was working on the face mask prototype. And even though under unemployment or underemployment, they go to receive wages in excess of what they would make coming back to work, Craig provided them a voluntary opportunity to come back and to start making masks for the protection of our Tom James family, first and foremost, and then secondly, for the protection of our clients. And you know what? 95% of them wanted to come back to work, even though they would make less money, as they once again focused on the cause of Tom James. Y'all, there are these stories and stories like them that are taking place all over Tom James. And y'all, I think about each and every one of you all. I think about our sellers. I think about these last 4 months. And as I recount some of the things that I've witnessed with you all, it is absolutely humbling, just as all of these stories are that I've shared so far in this company address. I've seen you all have an uncanny ability to be able to adjust to these times. Some folks brand new, other folks a month, and then other partners that have been here 10, 20, 30 plus years. I've seen you all get incredibly creative in the way that you pursue and serve our clients and new clients. I've seen you elevate at a dramatic fashion your work ethic. I've seen you fight even though things felt uncertain much of the time. I've seen the way that we have done business at Tom James turn absolutely upside down, and yet each of you all continue to look for a way, not an excuse. I've seen you deal with disappointments from having our incentive trips postponed and then having them turn to domestic locations, to having our President's Club night, our wonderful evening of celebrating achievement of our brand new President's Club members, and having that postponed. Even this meeting going from this beautiful setting that we usually have in Marco Island to a virtual setting. And yet you've taken all of these disappointments in stride and continued to put one foot in front of the other. I've seen many of you all and heard many stories of how you're dealing with stress at home and juggling many different balls that you didn't used to have to. And you've done it with tremendous grace and strength. I've seen Tom James family help each other, encourage each other, and teach each other, lift each other up, and celebrate successes. I've seen you all perform with just tremendous courage. Every one of y'all have overcome personal challenges, and y'all, I just couldn't be more proud to be a part of this Tom James company, this Tom James family. Y'all show what we're all about in what you do on a daily basis. And it's shown from every corner of the globe, from our sellers to our sewers to our counters and to our weavers. Y'all, we've got a great company in Tom James. Never have I been more proud to be a part of it. The rest of our time today, y'all, I want to share with you our Tom James opportunity and your investment and where your investment stands. I want to talk to you about the strategic resources and initiatives to achieve our results that we have been working on literally around the clock. I want to talk to you about our team and role that each of us has at Tom James, and then share a few closing thoughts. But first, let's go to this part one of sharing with you not only our opportunity, but our investment and some of the decisions that we have made and why we have made these decisions. First, y'all, you have certainly read many of headlines over these last 4 months. And there's been an awful lot of what could be some scary headlines, especially in our industry, the apparel industry. You've seen Nordstrom's make an announcement to close 16 stores, or you've seen Neiman Marcus file for bankruptcy, or Brooks Brothers getting sued for $75 million and closing down 3 of their manufacturing facilities. And you see, you all, each of these storylines, if we're not careful, if we don't protect ourselves, they can pry us away from the truth that we know at Tom James, from our principles that have allowed us to not only survive, but to thrive for the last 54 years. And y'all, we know that especially if we do not protect our thoughts, fear will overtake each of us. Y'all, fear has two meanings. The first, forget everything and run. That's our tendency. And if we're not careful, that's exactly what we will do when we see headlines that are taking place in our industry. It's not a healthy or a productive posture to take. The other definition of fear is face everything and rise. You see, y'all, when we take that approach, when we face everything and rise above it, we're living an inside out approach that is productive, that is healthy, makes us healthy, and makes us happy. You see, that's when, y'all, we make decisions from who we want to be and what we want to accomplish. And we apply our principles and our mission statement and our values to what we do on a daily basis. So what makes Tom James different? Obviously, we share a common industry or a common or similar product. But there is a vast difference, y'all, between all of those other examples that I just showed you and Tom James. And I believe the fundamental difference, more than anything else, in the structure of Tom James is in the unique way that we make decisions, the way that we run our business by principles, and our mission statement. You see, y'all, as you look at downturns since 1979, 1978 was our very first audit statement at Tom James. This isn't our first rodeo, for better or worse, of going through a significant downturn. No company, y'all, is 100% secure against outside circumstances, but we absolutely can take heart in our history. It is uncommon for companies to last 54 years as Tom James has. But not only have we survived, but we've thrived and we've been profitable every year. And 2020 will not be an exception to that rule. We recognized that we're not going to be arrogant thinking that we're entitled to victory over these circumstances. But we are heartened by our principles that have guided us through many, many past challenges and circumstances and downturns. Let me remind you about some of the unique aspects of our structure that help us achieve what we have achieved these last 54 years. The first one is our vertical integration. You see, y'all, it was our very first facility we purchased in 1972, individualized shirts. And by owning our own facilities, it gives us the distinct advantage to be able to pivot, to adjust on a moment's notice to price point, to different product offerings, to new packages, and to new structures. It gives us the opportunity, as I shared, to be able to take a facility that is completely shut down in TJ Chili and move all of that production to another facility so that we don't interrupt this tremendous service that we provide and product to our customers. It certainly wouldn't have allowed us, y'all, to, after shutting down, making masks for 3,100 employees first and foremost, and then secondly, to over 40,000 clients. We've made over 350,000 masks. And we didn't do it for publicity. We did it to protect our Tom James family, and we did it to protect our most significant asset, our clients. Because without our clients, none of us would be here. And y'all, can you imagine if we had to sit in the store and just wait for people to walk through that door? You see, a lot of us have looked at these circumstances sometimes with despair. But let me give you a fresh perspective on despair. Can you imagine that if your entire livelihood was just waiting, sitting in four walls, waiting for someone to walk in the door during these times? That, my friends, would be despair. You see, y'all, we, in this time, our clients have 5 ways to buy clothes. They can either go to a large retail store, they could go to a boutique store, they could buy online, they could have an individual come visit them at their home, or they could have a virtual opportunity. And if you think about those 5 different ways our clients could buy clothing, 3 of them are viable during these times, but only 2 of them our clients desire. Having us come see them one-on-one in the safety and protection of their home or office, or 2, doing business with them virtually. And y'all, that's exactly the opportunity that we have at Tom James. We could not be any better positioned to not only survive during these times, but to thrive. I'm so grateful for the shift that our CEO, Sergio Casalina, made back in the early 2000s. You see, y'all, Tom James, before we made the shift to virtually a custom manufacturer, any ready-made product comes to each of us as more of a commodity because you can get it anywhere. A 42 regular is a 42 regular. But you see, when you get a custom garment made at Tom James, it's a lot like the analogy of the Android and iOS with iPhone. You see, Android, that can be offered in all kinds of different products, and it becomes just a commodity. But if you want the iOS experience, you only can get that through Apple. And the same thing goes with our product. You see, when we make our customers, our clients, a custom garment, you can't get that fit that you provide them anywhere else except for at Tom James. Employee ownership. You see, y'all, only 7% of companies are employee owned. Did you know that of companies that are 100% employee owned, it's less than 3.5%. And you see, of all the different things that I've shared so far, it is probably the number one reason why Tom James has not only survived these times, but that we've thrived during these times. You see, there's a dynamic that comes with employee ownership. Granted, not everyone immediately steps up. But you know what? More do than don't. And more of you have stepped up than not. You see, y'all, I believe that one of the reasons why maybe some of us have struggled to step up is the very notion that when you are an employee-owned company, you don't take the posture that, look, Tom James is not to be your life, it's to give you more life. You see, y'all, that is not what you say when you own something. That's not the posture that you take. All of us will spend at least a third of our life at work. And as a result, it needs to be a very significant part of our legacy, of who we are and who we become and what we are remembered for. If not, then a third of our life is just thrown away. Tom James, right? Yes, It, as ownership, it is here to be a fundamental part of who we are. But you see, if we believe in the posture that it's just here to give us more life, and especially during this environment that we're in right now, you got to work twice as hard for the same result. It's just part of the territory. And so therefore, it doesn't always give you more life. It does ebb and flow. But if we will take the posture that this is mine, this is what I own, this is part of my legacy, I believe that every single person at Tom James Company will step up and step up in a mighty way. I believe that one of the reasons why Tom James has not just survived, but we have thrived, it goes back to our decision-making process. I remember when I was asked to represent y'all as CEO, and I got together with Craig and with John. Phil Williams was still with us at that time. And we sat down and I said, gentlemen, this will feel probably a little bit strange and maybe even out of place. But the first thing that we're going to do as a team is that we're going to make and develop our plan for when the next downturn is. Now, granted, we did not anticipate a global pandemic, but the principles for surviving and thriving in a downturn are the same as it is in a pandemic. You see, y'all, what we did 4 years ago is we prepared ourselves for an emotional circumstance in a rational state of mind. And as a result, we literally took this plan, 3 pages long, we pulled it off of the shelf when this whole thing hit, and we've been applying it every day since. Has it been perfect? No. Has it always been pretty? No. But we will continue to adjust. And the same thing goes for you all. Has it always been perfect? In the last 4 months, it hasn't. Has it been ideal? No. But with every passing day, y'all, we're getting better. And we'll continue to make the adjustments to not only survive in these times, but to thrive. In preparation for our time together today, I started doing a recount of some of the decisions that we've made since this whole COVID in March hit. Let me walk you through this timeline. And I think it will have the same effect on you all that it did myself as I was recounting the different events of the last 4 months. Beginning of March, week 1, COVID-19 hit the news cycle. And it starts to eclipse everywhere else. Started on the West Coast and moved east, at least in the States. Week 2, President's Cabinet trip is postponed. And we did that to avoid potential quarantine and stranding our people in a foreign location. We also that week made a decision to not only master, but to embrace virtual selling. It was either that or shutting down. And Tom James does not shy away from anything, including COVID-19. Not just because of our principles, but because we want to have a company for our Tom James ownership, for not just this generation, but for many generations to come. Our first company-wide COVID-19 address was recorded and distributed that week. Week 3, we had our town halls begin. We had our first top producers question and answer launch. We had virtual interview process launched. Our April sales school postponed to June. We had mandatory government orders to shut down at certain factories and pretty much across all of our Tom James locations. We placed a stock repurchase cap of $10,000 per shareholder. We had our first ever virtual 201 sales school. We launched our coronavirus counter-strike selling guide. We took buy 6, get 1 free from just certain offices to the entire sales force. Week 4, we had order entry process converted to support pay now, measure later capabilities. Our spring 2020 stock price announcement was unchanged at $18.95 a share when the broad market had gone down almost 50%. We had very extensive furloughs and hourly reductions. We had our executive and senior managers experience pay cuts. It was the right move to make. We switched from Fox Everett to Cigna Health Insurance. In April, we had our first ever OPD live, and what an extraordinary job that our leadership did in putting that together. We highlighted some cash bonuses starting at 33% of quota. We paid on booked and collected units. We did payment deferrals on stock and promissory notes. We doubled trip points and many, many other adjustments. We began to manufacture masks at English American and then IS and Measure Up. We provided free upgrades on on all of our suits and sport coats and shirts. We transitioned to buy 4, get 1 free with our shirtings. We developed a wardrobe card layout for the virtual presentation so that it would be supported with our virtual presentations and with our clients. Week 2, we developed a system to support ship to home for our garments to our sales professionals. We developed virtual trunk show pricing with some very, very significant adjustments pricing wise. We had our first ever wine transaction contest. We worked on rent abatement and renegotiated many of our leases. We developed new verbiage and dialogues for the virtual methodology, much of it headed up by Jill Scott, Jim Poston, and Jordan Yoakum. We developed an enterprise contract with Zoom. We provided certification for 117 additional women's business sellers. We had a major introduction of new package at all levels, including value packages, the most broad and extensive reductions and new package value packages in our history. 1/3 of our home office was called back to work. We had to close our mill in Chile, as I shared earlier. We closed our shirt factory in Ashland, Pennsylvania. And I do want to mention one thing on that particular point. You know, we did not do that only due to COVID, but we had a facility that would be much more productive by taking our production and shifting it to IS as well as Measure Up. And I'm so proud of the work that Craig and our IAG leadership provided, giving opportunities for work for every single one of those folks at our IS and Measure Up facilities. May, week 1, we postponed this particular meeting and we converted it to an international virtual sales meeting. We had our first ever quick pay bonus buck structure with immediate cash payout. We finalized our outreach contract and began the 8-week implementation process that I spoke of that Paul Combs and our IT department have so brilliantly programmed and supported. Our TJ Chile facility begins to shut down in week 2. Our mask production increases significantly. We brought back another third of our home office, putting us at 2/3 strength. We had in week 3, first time May halftime show. We had a process developed for bringing back our support staff in each of our offices. We completed shipment of over 350,000 masks in week 4 of May to provide greater support to our Tom James family, first and foremost, and then to says 37,000 customers there, but we're north of 40,000. And then in June, we had to hit straight on, y'all, the unemployment and the underemployment situations. And I want to tell you all that was extremely painful for each of us as we executed that process. And I know it was painful for many of you all. Some of it came about just because it was confusing, not understanding what was the right or wrong thing to do. But y'all, here is the plain fact as far as this particular piece goes. The only thing that keeps our facilities going is our Tom James sales force. So while the government provided the support financially, we would have no work to go into our facilities. And that is exactly why, y'all, that we did not choose to shut down back 3 weeks into March. It just wasn't an option. And for each of us to face this difficult and scary time, other than hitting it face head on, there was no other option. You see, had we just shut down, then right about now, as things are opening up, we would start producing again. But yet there wouldn't be enough work for our facilities for another 3 to 4 months. And by that time, at a minimum, we would have lost at least 50% of our workers. But in addition, who we are at Tom James is that we just don't meet difficult situations, but we hit it face forward, head on, because that's just who we are. It builds our character. It creates better versions of ourselves. And yes, it can be scary. And yes, it can be difficult. Yes, it can be trying. But y'all, that's why we came to Tom James, is to become better versions of ourselves and provide an extraordinary opportunity. And that goes in good times and difficult times for our families and for our workers. We developed our custom shorts launch that first week of June. EA, Oxford, IS, Measure Up, they all returned to work as different government mandates were lifted. We developed Win Together, Live Together, and Give Together, the theme of our July virtual meeting together. We did clothing-based transaction competitions. We developed a CEO Night of Champions. We also distributed Holland Sherry headers to our offices and shifted our buy 5, get 1 free shirt with our shirting facilities. Week 2, we had the George Floyd nationwide protests taking place. Yes, we took a firm stance as to who we are at Tom James Company and what we stand for. And every time, y'all, that you stand for what your beliefs are, and what our beliefs are at Tom James is that we provide opportunity for all, regardless of race, color, or creed, regardless of what school you went to or what neighborhood you grew up in, that you have an opportunity at Tom James, and it's an equal opportunity. And anytime that you stand for things like that, you'll meet resistance, y'all. We further extended our stock and promissory note holiday. We We provided our custom denim launch. We started having significant shipments arrive in our stores again. LinkedIn Enterprise Sales Navigator, that contract was signed. Week 3, we began our appreciation letters to our sales force, to our sewers and our weavers. Week 3, quick pay bonus bucks was introduced or reintroduced. Our women's website and landing page was launched. Our second chance leadership pay opportunity was announced. That was the right move. Our weekly cascading calls for store leaders began. We announced 1% profit sharing distribution and our 20% 401k match. Not only was it declared, but it was funded that third week of June. And y'all, that is significant. Individualized shirts was 100% solar powered, and that conversion was complete. More about that later. Week 4 and week 5, quick pay bonus was further introduced for week 4 as well as week 5. Dialogues with women sellers and TJ working moms had a wonderful town hall type of a meeting with our TJ moms and how we can better support them. We had our first wave of outreach and CRM integration completed, of which you will hear more further into this opening session. And y'all, as you look at all of those extensive changes, all of those adjustments, all of those pivots, as we've referred many times to them, you can't help but be extraordinarily proud of your company. Proud of every single person in Tom James Company, because it took every single one of us to pull all these things off. It took every single sector of Tom James Company to provide such tremendous wide range of pivots and adjustments so that not only that we could survive this time, but that we could thrive through this time. You see, y'all, when you go through a downturn, you have 5 objectives. Your first objective, to survive and thrive through a downturn, such as we're in the middle of. Number 1, you got to protect cash. Number 2, you got to lower your break even. Number 3, you got to provide more fuel, more resources to grow sales. Number 4, you have to elevate your communication. And number 5, you got to reestablish a growth focus. Let's dissect, if we could, each one of these for just a little bit here. Let's talk about protecting cash. What y'all have in front of you is a visual display of what our line of credit has looked like since we started this entire process of COVID beginning of March. The first thing that I want to say to you all is that prior to COVID, if you were to talk to our bankers, you would have heard them say, y'all want to increase your line of credit to 40 million, 45 million? Just say so. Done. Y'all want to restructure your loan that you had predominantly to pay off the estate of Mr. Hayes so that we are a 100% employee-owned company? Tell us what you want to do. Done. And as soon as COVID hit, y'all, every single deal was off the table. It all changed at a moment's notice. And so therefore, we knew that we had to protect our line of credit, because the line of credit is what you run your business from. Now, for additional context, the way that our cash flow goes at Tom James Company is in the first quarter, you go through a lot of cash. And because Why is that? The first quarter, you're paying out for a $1.5 million January meeting. You fund a dividend, $8+ million. You typically fund profit sharing and 401k, although we pushed that out, as you all know, to June. But the other ones were done. And you also have a 2-week delay on clothing being produced because of our union shutdowns in each of our facilities. So you hemorrhage a lot of cash in the first quarter. So with just paying out our dividend and then COVID hits, it couldn't have hit at a worse time, which we knew as a board and made our efforts that much diligence to make sure that you protect cash during this time. You can see that in a month's time that even though we had about 2 weeks of regular production, we had almost a full month of manufacturing shipments. But in the last 2 weeks of that month, retail, the complexity changed immediately. So our line went up about $2.5 million. Then, as our line started to grow, we as a board, as we met every single day, made the decision that we were going to borrow from our whole life policies that we started investing in key person insurance back in the 70s. And so you can see a $5 million deposit there, taking their line down to 13. And then you can see that our line went up $4 million in literally the next few days. April 17th is a significant time because we had a $7.7 million deposit. That came from the work that Spencer initiated back in the late 90s of going to Washington and lobbying for the wool and cotton tariff rebates. You see, all cotton and wool that comes into the States, not in the finished product, gets taxed. Wool gets taxed at about 13%, cotton at about 25%. NAFTA trade agreement provided for finished products to trade without any tariff, but fabric in their pre-manufactured state of a garment gets taxed. And so Spencer passed in March, and about a month later, he was going to start teaching me the ropes of how to continue this process of working on the Hill to extend, because every 5 years, these wool and cotton tariffs, rebates, the bills expire. But by the grace of God and having a great lobbyist firm, after spending about 1.5 years in Washington virtually every month, we got it done. And we got it extended another 5 years, which provided a check for $7.7 million mid-April. Couldn't have come at a better time. You can see then our line, a week later, it went up almost $7 million to 14. We started getting some stability. The month of May, our line increased about $4.5 million. And you can see that we have stayed pretty stable in the month of June, experiencing, I would say to the greatest extent, are very significant and wide-ranging and wide-sweeping adjustments for us to save expenses. And y'all, I know that some of those have been difficult. I know some of them have been scary and painful. But you can see that if we did not make those decisions, we wouldn't have any options right now, because we would be right at our line of credit. And so it tells you how we have to be ever vigilant with the decisions that we make going forward. We have to be ever vigilant that we've got to have the sales. If we're going to add additional expenses with support staff, we have to have the sales to support it, because if not, You're going to butt right up against that $30 million line. And you're not going to have many options. But what I can tell you all is that we will continue to make the hard decisions. We will continue to make the decisions that will provide for the continuation of Tom James. And the number one thing, you all, that has provided for the continuation of our company, and you saw the greatest effect in June, has been our sales. The reason why that we have been able to maintain this line of credit, yes, we had about 12.5 million hit from two major sources. But the reason why we have stabilized our line is because our sales have increased. It's each of you all that are listening to this. It is a testament to what each and every one of you all have been doing, what you've been achieving, how you continue to find a way over, under, or right through any obstacles. But you see, y'all, that just is who we are at Tom James Company. And it's who we've always been over the last 54 years. And it's why we are here 54 years in, and it's why we will be here 54 years later, providing opportunity for many, many generations to come. Y'all, the next piece that you do in the time of a downturn is you lower break even. Last year in 2019, our break even averaged over 36,300 units. March, before we made any adjustments or any adjustments could be felt, you can see that our break even jumped almost 5,000 units, about 15%. We started making, as you all, some very significant adjustments all across Tom James. Because what you got to do during these times is, again, you've got to decrease expenses, and I'm an expense. Didn't used to be, but I am today. You got to decrease expenses, and you got to put more resources towards sales, the things that bring money into the door. It's you all. And so you can see that as we have continued to execute this strategy, that our break even on average has gone down to about 29,500 units, a reduction of almost 20%, or of almost 7,000 units from our average last year. Let's talk about fuel and sales. Y'all can see that basically what this graph shows you is what percent of sales did we do during that week compared to the same time a year ago. So you can see that at the beginning of this, what it shows you is in February, we did 106% of sales relative this February over last. We did 71%, right, in week 1 of March, week 2, and then we had COVID hit. Week 3, we did 46%, and then 17% in week 4. We were smack dab in the middle, y'all, of making some major adjustments as we just really flipped on its head the way that we do business on a daily basis. So you can see that first wave of sales incentives and financial support and virtual selling workshops, it was just starting to take hold. You can see that in week 1 of April and week 2, we started getting a little more traction, but not enough. And then in the second wave, we introduced virtual trunk shows in that 3rd week where we hit 44%. Wardrobe cards and shirt specials. And that fueled our sales, and we had a beautiful story of growth going. And then, y'all, we introduced, during this next phase, the 3rd and 4th week of May, we introduced quota-based store incentives, and what you can see here is a very sharp decline. We offered then as you can see, it was week 4, and we had a strong push. We made a cash bonus structure in the week 4 of May. We went back to the store focus for the first 2 weeks of June, and you can see that things declined yet again. And y'all, I've got a theory as to what took place here. I believe that as I shared with you on that slide of talking about ownership, what are the benefits of being an employee-owned company? And that is the majority of the people fight like hell. But we still had a few that were on the side. Doesn't make them bad people. But I believe what took place is that when we introduced a store bonus, we recognized that we could not achieve it unless we had every single person in each store rowing in the same direction. And we did. And so I believe that even those engaged lost hope in the bonus structure. So you can see that in week 3, 4, and 5, we reintroduced the quick pay bonus structure, and you can see how things started to grow significantly again. And let me give you one point of reference, if I could. Look at week 4 of June, 58%. That was within 2% of the best week that we've had since COVID hit. And week 5, y'all, this week that we just finished up today at 12 Central, we had the best week, 64% of the production compared to the same week last year. So I applaud y'all's efforts, and I applaud your tremendous work ethic. I applaud the adjustments that each of you all have made to make this happen. The number one reason why Tom James, why we have provided stability in our line of credit, in our cash position, is because of the sales that you all are providing in our facilities. Because listen, y'all, the only work that comes into our facilities is the work that we provide. So let me just congratulate each and every one of you all, and thank you again for the tremendous job that you've done. The next piece that you do after continuing to fuel sales is that you increase communication. And y'all, we improved our communication in so many ways in these last 3.5, 4 months. Memo and video addresses, town halls, virtual selling workshops, top producer question and answers, success workshops, crafted focal point. We increased our communication with Instagram and Facebook, our weekly cascading calls, our store leaders at tomjames.com communication, our daily board calls, which we started March 9th, and we talked every day, 7 days a week, the board did, until the first week in June, which it's now 3 days a week. Our divisional team calls 3 times a week. Our TJ communication team calls twice a week so that we can organize our efforts of communicating to each of you all with all these different resources. We did we'll be having a top 25 virtual summit this Friday. We had a virtual summit with our TJ moms. And we're going to be doing a whole lot more of this. And while y'all, we have increased our communication dramatically these last 3.5, 4 months, there are still some gaps. And I can tell you all that we will do better. I know that there were gaps in our communication with the George Floyd communication. I know that there were gaps in our training assistant pay communication. And let me make one clarifying point here, if I could. Y'all, we did not start to put a closer eye on our training assistance pay and on our draws because we are out of money. We did it because our line of sight changed. You see, we could see exactly those that were in the game and given it all that they've got when we were working in the offices together. But when you go to a virtual methodology, everything changes. And so we did not do, though, a good enough job in communicating with our leadership and our down line leadership as to what to expect in those two areas. You see, y'all, our 4 pieces of communication execution goes like this. First, in our protocol, we discuss any decision as a senior leadership team. And we don't execute until we all agree. Number 2, we enlist the perspective of different groups or representative leaders or sellers of that particular decision. Number 3, we refine and notify store and org leaders of the upcoming change and messaging. And then 4, we distribute at large. And when we didn't do so well, as I shared earlier, it's when we didn't follow our protocols. And I will give you my word, you all, that while we have increased our communication dramatically during this time, we will even do a better job this fall. We've increased our communication as far as our trips are concerned, and we're making some significant adjustments there as well. I think during this time, you all, that we have seen firsthand that it is more important to make as many of the unknowns known to each of you all, for you all to be in control. And so going forward, we will provide you 2 different options, and the majority will win as far as what our trips that will be taken in each of our different categories. Because again, these incentives are for you all. They're intended to reward you for your hard work. But we will continue to raise our communication as far as our trips and the options to reward your tremendous accomplishments. And so, y'all, as we start talking about growth, as we have shared many wonderful stories about growth that we began our time together today with, today begins as we reestablish our growth focus at Tom James Company. And in this time, you all, it is appropriate for us to look at growth in a new way than potentially we have been viewing it in the past. It is so important, y'all, that we start to recognize, what does a win look like going into the fall? A win right now looks like increasing our production over the prior month. It looks like what our brand new partner, Joe Haynes, just in his 2nd month, what it looks like with 2 growth months that Joe has accomplished, 23 in May and had growth in June over his May. That's what our growth stories look like at Tom James Company. It looks like Jessica Murphy. You see, her first selling month, she set some wonderful record. 173 units in her first month. And then COVID hit. I'm sure she had a strong first 2 weeks of February and then had challenges like the rest of us. But she started applying exactly those different things that I shared with all of the adjustments at Tom James. She did 21 units in April, and then she grew her May over April with 32 units. And then she grew again with her June over May with 55 units. This is not a time, y'all, for us to look to last year, even though Jessica is brand new. But this is a time for us to look at increasing our production over the previous month, because no matter where we start from, if we will keep that as our solid focus, not only on a monthly basis, but even on a daily basis, by the end of this year, you all, not only will we have survived, but we will have thrived, and we will like where we finish our 2020. How about Lachey Fluker? Lachey, I'm so proud of your Tom James growth story. Not only are you up 40%, almost 41% through May, but look at in March, you went from 21.25. And yes, you had marginal growth, but you had growth in April. And your success and your growth story continued in May with 27 units. And it has continued in the month of June, 4 consecutive growth story months. Lachey, that is beautiful. And as you keep on doing that every single month this year, even starting from modest place, you're going to look up at the end of December and you're going to like what you see. How about Dan Lawler? Dan, in the month of April, y'all, contracted COVID. So grateful, Dan, that you came out on the other side. 12 units, even in his COVID month, still fought. I'm proud of you for that fight, Dan. And he grew. And what a beautiful story, growth story that this is. In May over April. And then he grew again in June over May. And Dan, as you continue your growth story at Tom James with increasing July over June, you're going to look up December 31st and you're going to like what you see. How about Clay Turner? Clay, this is a beautiful growth story. 4 consecutive months. You started out at 23 units, and then you went to 42 in April. You increased a 3rd consecutive month in May. President's Club pace, way to go. And in June, as of this preparation, you were at 103. 4 consecutive growth story months, Clay. It's a beautiful story and it's a beautiful picture. And Clay, you will like where you end up as you continue your focus of just increasing, even if it's by 1 unit, your July over June. How about Amanda Latimer? Amanda, this is just nothing but extraordinary. Amanda was out last year during much of these last 4 months, having her 3rd baby. And look what she has done, y'all, so far this year. 3 consecutive growth stories. And y'all, I know Amanda, and I bet you she's beating herself up because she's doing considerably less than what she's used to doing. But look at this beautiful growth story, y'all. Look how she's been encouraged each and every month. April, 235, and then she increased by another 30, almost 40 units in May, and almost by 100 units in June. Amanda, I just couldn't be more proud of what you're accomplishing. And this is a beautiful growth story, and I am so encouraged to see what you're accomplishing. How about Christina Murray? Christina, this is what it looks like to be an owner of Tom James. And Christina's another individual, you know, a high performer. And yet she has stayed encouraged with focusing on her growth story of just improving each and every month, 23 units, and then 41, and then 78, and north of 100 units in the month of June. Christina, this is a beautiful story and one that will encourage many. And 4 consecutive months of growth. And Mr. Allisberg, Steve, what you continue to accomplish is just nothing short of extraordinary. And you're in the same conditions that the rest of us are in. You're just saying, by golly, I'm just not going to participate. And look what you've accomplished. 347 in April, 412 in May, and over 600 units in June, and still climbing as of our time right now. Steve, I thank you so much for your example. In the 4 COVID months, y'all, he's accomplished over 70% of what he did last year. Stay encouraged, Steve, of just growing each and every month. John Harvey in Nashville. Look at his growth story, y'all. 54, then 72, then 112. John, thank you for your growth story and for your example at Tom James Company. How about Sammy Mitchell? Sammy, it was wonderful spending time with you at the beginning of your Tom James career, talking about the success that you were going to have. And I know March hit you like a ton of bricks, like it did many of us. And your training didn't include any of this virtual methodology. Not only were you just trying to grasp the sales tools that we gave you for regular selling, but then you had to make another enormous pivot and adjustment. And look what you've done. So proud of this. 26 and then 42 and then 51. And Sammy, you keep up this growth story of just increasing over the previous month. And you are going to have a phenomenal year in 2020. Ivan Luna in San Antonio. Take a look at Ivan, y'all. And April 20, May 24. And y'all, this is a really significant story here, because you see, what Ivan got attached to in June was our CEO, Night of Champions. And I know that some of you all were critical, saying, I'm just having a heck of a time even paying my bills. What in the world are we doing? Having a CEO Night of Champions with wine and charcuterie board and just lavishing this wonderful experience on our folks. And y'all, this is just a beautiful visual. Stay with me on this, of what happens when you get connected to something that you want. See, y'all, what takes us out of our circumstances in good times is exactly the same thing that takes us out of our circumstances in these times, in COVID times. It's getting attached to something that we want to accomplish. It's getting attached to something that not only I want to accomplish, but for someone I want to accomplish it for. And it's reviewing it and looking at it more than you look at your current reality, more than you look at your circumstances or conditions. The very thing, y'all, that will take each of us out of our circumstances in good times are the very same thing that will take us out of these times that we're in right now. Join me, y'all, in starting to focus on having a growth story this fall at Tom James. Begin deciding today what your growth story will look like this fall. Begin filling in your July, your August, your September, your October, your November, and your December. Begin deciding why you're going to do that, who you're going to dedicate it to. Because when we get out of our own way and we focus on others, y'all, we're unstoppable. And that's why Tom James Company not only survives these times, but thrives these times. That's why each of us as individuals not only survive these times, but it's why we thrive in these times. Let's talk, you all, about some of the things that we have been working on at Tom James Company. Again, because we don't only survive these times, but we thrive. We don't only make adjustments for today, but we make adjustments for the continuation of the Tom James story. And our Tom James story is going from, yes, are we going to take a step back this year? A slight one. But we're going to take a bold step forward because of the many initiatives that we are engaging in right now that you're going to be hearing about in just a moment. And it's going to get us ever closer to becoming $1 billion company and beyond. Our sights have not swayed from growing to become $1 billion company, because you know what we provide by doing that? We provide an opportunity for not 530 folks that we're at right now, not 600 folks that we're at by the end of the year, but 1,200 individuals, Tom James family, that needs this once in a lifetime opportunity to change your life, just like it has changed our lives. Having a focus of becoming $1 billion company. It's a focus of having a growth story, and that growth story will then come in terms of our per person sales average. And by the end of this year, you all, we will have accomplished the same per person average that we did last December of 88 units. As we stay focused of our growth story individually and collectively as a company at Tom James this fall, by the end of the year, we will have surpassed our per person average that we did in December of 88 units, with a goal of going to 100 units per person with 1,200 partners selling, which will take us to $1 billion company. You see, y'all, to prosper in a downturn, you got to do 4 things. Specifically, you got to get strategic and targeted in the industries and the companies that are thriving in downturns. Let me say that again. You got to become more strategic and targeted in the industries and the companies that are thriving in downturns. That's the beautiful thing about Tom James Company, is that we can literally adjust to the prospect pool that we focus on. Because in every economy, no matter up or down, there is this prospect pool that thrives no matter what. And so, y'all, what we need to do is we need to focus on those industries like realtors, mortgage companies and brokers, commercial real estate, home builders. All these industries that you can see right here, y'all, are thriving right now during these times. Luxury auto dealers. My son sells Mercedes. They had a record month last month here at the dealership in Indy. We need to focus on the companies. See, all of us have these companies, y'all, that are represented in our cities. This is an exhaustive list. This is just some of the companies right now that are absolutely killing it in this particular economy. And there's many companies that are either represented or headquartered in your cities that we need to focus our attention to, because they're thriving during these times. We need to make sure, y'all, that with our clients that we cover the objection before the objection comes up. You see, one of the things that all of our clients have in common in a downturn is that they start to dress, not for where they are, but for where they're going. And we need to make sure that we share with them how fortunate we are to do business with people that are so forward thinking, and cover the objection before that it comes up. Because yes, are they dressing casual at home? Sure. But will they be dressing up as they return back to their offices, whether it be this month or next or September? They will. And we need to make sure that we give them all the advantages and odds, because that's what the most successful people do in companies, is we dress them for not where they are, but for where they're going. We need to continue to engage in telling our stories at least 7 times every single day. And we need to do that through phone calling and FaceTime, text, LinkedIn messaging, virtual presentations. And we need to pivot more so to serving our clients out of their homes. We need to broaden our prospect pool, not only with our price point, but also, y'all, with our offerings. Y'all, we could not have had better timing than we have with our women's line being officially launched here at this virtual meeting. I remember some, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I went to the very first college campus for recruiting as president of Tom James. And what I remember seeing is that there were more women in the sales class than there were men. And upon further study, I found out that there were more women entering college than there were men. More graduating from college than men. More entering the workforce than men. And then I thought about when I went shopping with my wife and what a completely frustrating experience that was. And then I thought about there's no one in the industry of any scale that has any custom women's clothing. And I remember briefly talking to Serge, and at that time, Serge's expertise was not in women's. And Serge retired, and then Craig, the very first discussion I had with Craig after we developed our plan for a downturn, I said to Craig after that meeting, what do you think about starting a women's line? Because before that, it was just an accommodation of taking men's patterns and literally trying to make them into women's patterns with a bunch of alterations, which was a mess. Craig said, Todd, I don't know if you know it, but before I came to Tom James, that's all I did. I was in women's textiles, making women's fabrics and designing lines for companies and even designing patterns and looks. Y'all, it couldn't have been the more perfect timing with exactly the right man in Craig Forrest. And so we began this journey 3 years ago. And what we have today, y'all, is the culmination of a beautiful vision of providing the finest, most comprehensive, most up-to-date custom women's line that our world, our industry has ever seen by a massive amount. And so one of the beautiful opportunities, y'all, that we have before us is that one of the things that causes you to not just survive these times, but to thrive in these times is greater resources. And one of those resources is for us to provide this tremendous women's line for all of Tom James' company. And so I would like to give you all a little introduction to what has been taking place these last 3 years with this video.
Ladies and gentlemen, the volume inside of this bus is astronomical. It is way
you know, Lil Q. Dance on the now you've been served. I like a with a little bit of curve. Hit this poop with an uppercut.
I'm in the crowd, girl. You a cowgirl. Need a hairstyle. I'm like, wow, girl. Got me upside down. Ooh. Yeah, we going dumb.
Get on the bus.
First, I would say that Tom James has perfected the fit of my clothing.
The quality is truly amazing.
Tom James has given me the confidence and the comfort to be well put together.
I can feel confident when I walk in a room that I'm wearing something that's unique and tailored to my personality.
Get on the bus.
My Tom James clothier has really helped me find great fitting clothes that look professional and really set me apart in the business world.
I started working with Tom James about 4 years ago, and it's changed my entire wardrobe.
The fabric and details and the workmanship that goes into it, it's just been great. You know, 4.5 years later, we're going strong, and I recommend it to anybody who's interested.
I no longer have a challenge with the fit of my clothing.
They are always coming out with new patterns, new fabrics, new cuts of jackets. I appreciate Tom James and all they have to offer, and I'm a very satisfied client with them. I can't wait to see how this relationship blossoms over the years.
I
I just got in my first pair of crepe pants and I am absolutely loving these. Deliver these to women. They look fantastic on them. Give it a try, sell it to your clients. I think you'll love it.
9.5 times out of 10, they are super nice, and the appointment is actually so easy to book.
My male client liked what I was wearing and wanted to buy that for his wife.
Women just don't mind having multiple open tickets. I saw a woman last week. She currently, and I'm reading this off, has a Ventura dress on order, a range 3 stretchy pant, a black blazer. She has another black cotton stretch dress, a green and blue plaid blazer, an oatmeal with orange window pane blazer, an orange pant, a white blazer, and a blue slate dress on order. I went and delivered a sport coat and pant to her, and she bought another $10,000 suit. As long as women like what we do, they're open to looking at so many more things than men are. I love working with women. They're awesome, and I recommend it.
It's about 25% of my business, which I'm super thankful for. I love working with women, and it's been very rewarding to work with them. Now with our new models, getting the fit right early on in the relationship has become so much easier. You can truly put in an order with accurate skin measurements and a lot of times have it fit right the very first time around. A lot of them are really excited because they don't know that custom exists for them. So it can be something that really changes their world and can really end up enhancing their life and enhancing their business especially. I love working with them, and they love also sharing what I do with their friends.
Y'all ready for this?
Get on the bus!
Well, y'all, this has been an extraordinary effort that I want to just give tremendous thanks to Craig as he has spearheaded this every step of the way. He's done an extraordinary job, and one of the people that has been literally by his side from a customer and sales professional perspective all along the way has been Rebecca Garces. And literally, y'all, when you study the folks that are having enormous growth right now, it certainly are the folks that are highly focused on the women's business, as it essentially has doubled our prospect pool literally overnight. But Rebecca, you have been, as I said, in the middle of this process, well, for longer than 3 years, as you were saying, please, Todd, please, can we get in the women's business? And through your tremendous patience then and your diligence the last 3 years, you have done a fine job for Tom James Company and certainly for our retail sales force. So Rebecca, thank you so much. And would you share with the rest of us a little bit more details about our women's business?
Yes, thank you, Todd. It has been so exciting to be a part of this launch. I've been here nearly 16 years and have seen a lot of changes in our women's business and clothing over the years. And I have to say these past 3 years have been the absolute best. So to you and Craig and Brian, Josh, Michelle, Dave, and the rest of the team who have invested so much of your time and resources than ever before, just a huge thank you on behalf of the whole sales force. I also need to take a moment to thank all of the sales professionals who have been a part of our ladies committee. These are the top salespeople and influencers in our women's clothing sales and have worked so hard to make sure this launch could be as smooth as possible. So huge thank you to Cheyenne Peacock, Jordan Yoakum, David Christopher, Ashley Johnson, Christina Murray, Lindsay Kirby, Sarah Bentley, Amanda Abbott, and Tiffany Popson. All of you will continue to see and hear more from them as we progress our growth in this area. So for those of you though who have no idea what's been happening, I want to share a few reasons why I have absolutely loved growing in my women's business. And the first is that it's been probably somewhere around that 2-3 year mark. we've hired 2 designers. So we have Stephen Harrow and Charlie Castellano on staff, and they are continually working on new designs with Craig. So they will be putting out new models every few months, and this is going to keep our line current and provide more options than are available anywhere in the marketplace. So this is a huge advantage for us. And next, Craig and his team are constantly developing new cloth designed specifically with women in mind. Cloth like boucle, cloth with color, cloth with stretch, all things that speak to women's taste. And another thing that has been super helpful as I've been using our new women's line is that we've moved to modeled garments. And so I no longer have to be a designer in the field. And this has allowed me to give an accurate fit the very first time and deliver a woman's garment with one fitting. So gone are the days, you guys can all take a deep breath, no more days with 5+ fittings to get a garment to fit. And my non-conformance has been better than ever. So I'm so thankful for the work that we've done there. I'm just really encouraged by everything that we've done, how far we've come, and I'm really excited for where we're headed. So again, thank you to our executive team, the manufacturing team, and the Women's Summit Committee. Today, I also get the privilege to share with all of you our new selling resources. And the first of that is 12E. So some of you may have noticed that every July, we do a jacket and jeans for 12 Essentials. We've never promoted it for women before. So this year, we have the best photography from all of you who've been taking pictures out in the field. So we've designed a jacket and jeans email for our female clients as well. Since we aren't quite ready to start selling women's jeans, this email is more about how to put great jackets together, bright colors, and awesome lining. So it's a great way to introduce our options to our female clients. The next resource that we've added is we have designed a link from our Tom James website that will direct women to a page just for them. And this is live now. So if you go to tomjames.com, hit women, it'll send you right to this link. It's an awesome tool that you can confidently send your clients or prospects to view what we do when they ask you for a website. So they will see and know we are truly in the women's clothing business. The website will show them how it works. They can click on each category of clothing and it will show all the available models, client videos, testimonials and reviews, fabrics that we offer, our clothiers wearing Tom James, models wearing Tom James, and clients wearing Tom James. So a huge thank you to Michelle Stevens and her team who worked on this. The next is our women's sales presentation. Here you will see new slides and a new dialogue. So make sure to go to the secured site by typing in dialogues, and it should be under iPad presentations. So you can go there to find and see what that looks like now. And the last part I want to talk about is the upcoming training that we'll be offering. Starting next Monday with OPD, on July 6th, we're going to be doing company-wide certification video that covers everything that you need to know to get started working with women. From there, you will sign up for a virtual measuring class, which will be taught by some of our sales professionals who are leading the way in selling to women. We will do classes with 24 people per class. They'll last approximately 1 hour. And after you've completed that training, you'll be sent women-specific swatches. There will be a sign-up sheet for the women's measuring certification on the secured site. So head there to pick your date and time after today's session. In addition, during the month of July on every Wednesday, Craft Video will be featuring training on selling to women. We'll follow it up with a Q&A session on Thursdays following to just go through any questions that you might have and provide that clarity that you might need. So there you have it. So many great resources for all of us to get this bus moving and an opportunity to double our prospect pool. Back to you, Todd.
Rebecca, thank you so much. And thank you again for doing such an extraordinary job. We wouldn't be where we are without you. Y'all, what you have in front of you is a beautiful picture of our most brand new state-of-the-art facility, Copley, up in Hamilton, Ontario. This is a facility that's been about 5 to 6 years in the making. We used to be in 3 separate buildings, having a truck run every hour, taking pieces of different garments to different facilities. Very inefficient. We started this process, like I said, 6 years ago. And here, in the recent months, you can see at full working order, a brand new state-of-the-art facility that will be making all of our Tom James custom garments, at least the lion's share of them. Our opening price point will still, of our women's business, will be at TJ Chili, and our top quality will be made at Oxford, but the vast majority will be made here at our Copley facility. Next, y'all, I want to talk to you about the future of lead generation and lead nurturing. This next initiative has been an extraordinarily huge investment of not only of time, but also of money. It's been 2 years or better in the making. So I'd like to welcome Josh Roberts to share a little bit more about this groundbreaking initiative and the impact it's going to have on each of you all. Josh?
Hello there, Todd. Thank you very much. I am somebody that likes context, and so my story here is going to start in 2005. Hopefully that goes back far enough for everybody to catch up. Ash Deshmukh led a research project in the early 2000s that Bob Scheer and Sergio Castellina had tasked him with at the time to take our training into the next era. And after a lot of study, research, and networking, working with leaders and new partners at the time, Ash was able to come up with a training structure that feels familiar today, but was actually revolutionary at the time. Rather than leaving the training of the partner up to the individual leader, the concept was team training. You would put together 3 to 4 trainers who would have different skill sets, and the new partner would ride with a different trainer every day in order to learn the business. In addition to that, training team members would share referrals from their clients. And I think at Tom James, we take for granted how incredibly unique that is, that we've been doing that for these last 15 years. No other sales company does that. But by giving referrals, the trainers would be able to give those new partners warmer names and faster runway to a sustainable referral-based business. And lastly, the team trainers would help the new partner sell in the early selling months while their confidence was still building. We had fantastic results. You can just go back and look at the Hall of Fame as our training results for new partners really accelerated. And ever since then, that system that Ash developed and researched has been the backbone of our training program since then. 2 years ago, however, we began to have internal talks about some of the limiting factors that we were noticing in our hiring and our training methods, as we needed to take our business to the next level and hire increasingly more people and increase our performance at the same time in the pursuit of $1 billion business. We have very ambitious people that we attract to our company. Lots of career-minded leaders who want to build teams, stores, orgs, and divisions, and would prefer to build those units as quickly as possible. And yet, when you ask those ambitious leaders, what keeps you from hiring 3 people a year instead of 1, they give almost unanimously the exact same answer, which is, I don't have enough referrals and I don't have enough training days to do it. And it really is just emblematic of the fact, a fact of business, which is that one era's breakthrough becomes the next era's lid. And so we always have to be innovating and investing in growth, recognizing that those 2 limiting factors, referrals and training days, were inhibiting our hiring activity, our leader sales results, and throttling our new partners' performance. We had the basis for a new research project. And so Ash got a new assignment. And he got the kind of oxymoronic project brief that he's become accustomed to receiving and then delivering with style and grace over the years. All we wanted him to do was to eliminate our reliance on leaders' referrals and training days while raising both our leader sales and our new partner sales. What Ash quickly found as he began the project is that there are hundreds of sources of names. You can throw a rock from anywhere you guys are sitting and hit a lead platform company. ZoomInfo, Seamless, Dun & Bradstreet, LeadIQ, Lead411, LinkedIn. That's just the B2B market, and it doesn't even touch 5% of it. There's also a B2C market that provides consumer databases that are even more prolific. And so when you look at that, what you realize is that names are everywhere. What we need is a way to get through to the names. So upon further research and networking and asking questions, Ash discovered that really great prospecting results are a combination of quality name plus positive connectivity. So basically, the greater the prospect's awareness of who we are and what we do, the more likely they are to hear us out and consider what we're saying. And so Ash built a methodology that applied the findings of his research and orchestrated pilot studies in fall of 2019. We chose a cross-section of our best sellers and leaders to employ the specific methodologies. And they included a combination of social media marketing via LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and personal touches using email, messaging, and phone calling. And if you have consistent activity in those two distinct channels, what happens is you slowly develop name and brand recognition as you gently touch your prospect over and over and over in these digital landscapes. And they become aware of the pain points you solve. And by the time we get to asking for an appointment, we have a warm name equal approximately to floating. In fact, some people just refer to it as digital floating. The challenge, however, is that after the rollout, we had plenty of success stories of getting new clients this way with these methods. But then when we would survey our sales professionals, they would articulate this challenge. It works, but I don't have time to do it. And see what happens when you're trying to do this multi-touch, consistent nurturing process across 1,000 prospects in your system is that eventually the tasks just become unmanageable. And you can't keep it organized, and you can't keep your names moving through those nurturing sequences the way that they're supposed to. And y'all, that is just a classic sign that it's time for a technology upgrade. And so we started looking at what kinds of platforms address these kinds of problems. And it turns out there's an entire cottage industry sort of next door to CRMs called sales engagement platforms. And what these platforms do is specifically support the kind of lead nurturing and positive connectivity that we needed to establish to take Ash's pilot tests and really bring them into a scalable future for Tom James. These platforms integrate directly with the data that's housed in your CRM so that 100% of your activity interacting with your customers on a day-to-day basis can be done just with outreach. And so we looked at 6 vendors. We narrowed it down to 2 finalists, and ultimately we selected Outreach.io to be our partner in what is essentially the first major CRM development in decades at Tom James. There is a lot that Outreach does, and I'm not going to be able to cover all of it in this short little cameo. But I do want to play a video that will show you a little bit of context specifically for the primary feature set that we're going to build all of the rest of our innovation on, which is sequences. So take a look.
For today's demo, we're going to focus on 2 areas. The first is how to add prospects to Sequence, whether you're in LinkedIn or doing it in bulk. And second, how to execute tasks associated with that sequence. Let's go ahead and dive in. As a partner, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn sourcing for new contacts. Once I find a contact that I want to start engaging with, all I need to do is simply pull over the Outreach Chrome extension. From here, I'm going to update Outreach with their information, an email address, and simply push save. Using the sequence button, I'll come in and grab my sequence of my choice. In this case, maybe a cold prospecting sequence. Keep in mind, this will be a series of emails and phone calls and LinkedIn actions over a period of time. I'll select the sequence and simply add them in. If I ever want to take a bulk action in Outreach and add multiple prospects into a sequence, I recommend using the Outreach prospect page. Within this page, we're going to bucket your different prospects into different stages. So I can see I have 451 prospects, from prospects that are not started, I've never reached out to prospects that have responded to me, to people I'm attempting to contact, so active into the sequence, or even prospects that went all the way to a sequence and never responded to me. I can use these different buckets to take action at once. In this case, I'm going to grab all 40 not started prospects, select them in bulk, and easily add them directly into a sequence of my choice. Once I add my prospects into a sequence, all my tasks will be visible here on the Outreach home screen. Think of this as a daily to-do list. The first thing I'll notice is directly when I come in, I can start planning for my week to see my upcoming tasks. On the bottom, I can see the tasks that I need to complete today. Although I have 119 tasks, Outreach is going to allow you to power through them really quickly. First off, I can bucket them according to the different actions. So from action items to phone calls, to personalizing an email, to doing a LinkedIn touch, to even sending a text message. I can either prioritize around due date or the priority of the task. So for example, I could have a high priority call task. Maybe I met with one of my clients on Friday. First thing Monday morning, I want to get on the phone, follow up with them, see how the visit went, and make sure they don't need anything else. Instead of priority, I could organize by prospect engagement. So because we track 3 things on every email, open, click-throughs, and replies, this will pull my most engaged prospect to my top of my list so I can take action quickly. Once I prioritize my different tasks, to take action, I'm simply going to push start. Once I send out the calendar invite, again, I'm just going to log my call, log that I booked a meeting, and again, move on to my next task really easily. In this case, instead of making a phone call to Ben here, I can actually be prompted to send Ben a LinkedIn connection. I can come in, personalize this however I like, simply send out the invite, and then mark my task complete. The whole idea here of the Outreach task flow, execute these tasks in one place really easily so you can power through your different activities to reach out to more people more times. Now I'm here in the Outreach task flow where I can come in and execute my different tasks. First thing you'll notice here is I can see my prospect, his title, the company he's associated with. I have full access to his contact information. And more importantly, I can also see the last time I engaged or reached out to them. Using our sales intelligence tiles, we're gonna also help you warm up the conversation and give you everything you need right at your fingertips. So any prospect notes you've saved here, full access to their LinkedIn profile. So maybe it's a way to come and find an icebreaker or see if you're connected, share any connections here with Greg and get a warmer introduction. Once you've done all your research, here on the right-hand side is our built-in VoIP system where all I need to do is click to dial on his phone number to execute my call task. Once I complete this, I'll log the purpose of the call, the outcome. So maybe I left Greg here a voicemail. I'm going to log my call and simply get moved on to the next task. In this case, I'll go through the same motion, researching Bill, figuring out what conversation we need to have. And let's say I do come in and I get a hold of Bill and we start that conversation and he's really interested and wanting to schedule out a time for us to have a longer conversation. We make that really easy by leveraging Outreach meetings. I can easily open up my own calendar, grab a meeting type. So maybe it's my first 30-minute intro meeting. It's going to pre-populate in all the meeting details. And most importantly, if I ever need to include anyone else on this invite, like my leader, I can easily come in and align the calendar. So in this case, I'm going to grab in Connor Fritz. Once I add in Connor Fritz here at the top, you're going to realize it's going to align our calendars to make it really easy to find a time that works for everyone. Once I select the time, I'm going to simply send this out and everyone will get a meeting invite coming directly from me. Once I send out the calendar invite, again, I'm just going to log my call, log that I booked a meeting, and again, move on to my next task really easily. In this case, instead of making a phone call to Ben here, I can actually be prompted to send Ben a LinkedIn connection. I can come in, personalize this however I like, simply send out the invite, and then mark my task complete. The whole idea here of the outreach task flow, execute these tasks in one place really easily so you can power through your different activities to reach out to more people more times.
All right. Well, one of the things about outreach that I mentioned earlier is that it does much more than sequences, but it provides the framework for us to do a lot of things. Imagine selling an order and just simply enrolling your customer in a sequence that will communicate updates with him for the next 4 or 5 weeks until the delivery comes in. Imagine being able to find a prospect on LinkedIn or ZoomInfo or some Dun & Bradstreet or any kind of prospecting tool and being able to just click and add them straight into your system. Imagine not having to track your sales activity anymore because it happens directly from the system itself. It's system generated, and much more. So this is really going to take us into the modern era. Now, in terms of implementation, we started integration which is an IT process of connecting our systems and theirs so they talk to one another back in May of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, which has been fun for Paul. But they got it done, and so our systems are now communicating with one another. At the same time, Laura Willoughby and I have been working on content development for some of our starter sequences, as well as the workflows that we've developed to automate a lot of sales professional behaviors so that you guys can save time and spend more time selling. Training is the next thing that begins, and that launches immediately after this week. We did engage several sales professionals along the way. Mark Reiner, Milo Rubin, and Greg Tremblay were all part of our user testing process to get feedback and make refinements to the configuration of the system. Laura Werner shared some really great insights to the outreach team to give them an in-depth look at the sales professionals world. And Sterling Werner, you guys spent several hours with Laura and I adding to the sequence templates that we were starting to develop a lot of practical sales professional digital messaging savvy, which she's become known for over the years. And so it's really been a collective effort to get this thing pulled together. And there is much more to come. So the Tom James sales professional of tomorrow will increasingly run their business exclusively in outreach, not in the store system. It's a really wild thing to kind of wrap your head around. Our prospect strategy consists of 4 parts right now. Quality prospects, which is lining up the best-in-class prospecting tools needed so that you have accurate information and high-quality information to put into the system. Coupled with the constant nurture and follow-up that outreach provides and allows you to scale and in many cases automate so that we never let a name drop through the cracks. Add to that a unified brand story. We're going to really get aggressive in the development of a marketing function that provides a constant and high quality content narrative that you guys can leverage using engaging imagery, video, infographics, blog posts, and much more to kind of give you ammo when you go out to your social media. And lastly, when you have that unified brand story, you need 550 sales professionals and soon 600 and 700 and 800 to get the word out through the networks that they develop. And when we get those 4 things operating together, we're going to have a whole lot of acceleration of our new business. And this is not stuff that's way out in the future. The future is now, you guys. All 4 of those objectives that I just mentioned are already in progress. Outreach integration is done, at least the first wave. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we've already contracted premium enterprise level sales navigator accounts at the company level. Dun & Bradstreet and Cole Information, they're already in the works. And lastly, our marketing function with Michelle Stevens retiring this fall, the deployment and the orientation of our new director of marketing search is really, it's really revolves around lead nurturing and social selling and lead generation. So we're going to focus that department in specifically on that task to make sure that we're constantly innovating and driving ahead in that area. In terms of rollout, outreach is going to run from June. The June new partners and leaders are going to roll out on the outreach platform next week. At the same time, our July new partners and leaders are going to roll out week 1 as well. So we'll get our first 80 to 90 users on the platform just a week from now. And then we're going to be processing voluntary signups. There's going to be a link on the secured site that you can go to sign up for these tools. And we're going to start getting those processed and getting everybody trained and equipped on them. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is the other component, June new partners and leaders already have it. July new partners and leaders will get it next week, and voluntary signups can get it on an on-demand basis because LinkedIn's training is run via their proprietary library of training content. So let's talk about terms and enrollment, and then we'll move on to the next subject. Tom James Technology Package. One of the things that we're doing as the suite of tools that we're getting is growing is we're starting to bundle these together, and so that it's just simpler for everybody to conceptualize. If you take the 4 prospect and lead generation resources we offer, Dun & Bradstreet, which is business to business information, Cole, which is consumer information, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a mix of social and prospect platform, and then outreach. Really all 4 of those work together for a comprehensive new business development strategy. The total cost of those, if you were walking off the street, that package is about $400 a month. We've been able to negotiate that down to $254 per month per person. Some of you guys can do the math on that. So the way that we're going to roll this out, Tom James is going to foot the bill for new partners 0 through 12 selling months. The leaders who hire, we're going to provide this entire package, all 4 platforms, free of charge for 6 months from the date of each hire. If you hire more frequently than that, we'll allow some rollover months so that you get the full value there. We're going to offer them to anybody else who is not a hiring leader and not a new partner at $125 a month payroll deduction. That's effectively a 50-50 split. So Tom James will be in 125 and the sales professional will. If anybody doesn't want the complete package, each of those tools will be offered on an a la carte basis, just at whatever Tom James cost is. Again, there will be a sign-up sheet on the secured site for people that want to enroll in this package. Marcy Adams will be the contact for any questions that you guys have. The next subject that we're going to move straight into is everything that we've been doing in training. Under Dave Weichel and Laura Willoughby's leadership, there have been just massive changes to our training program. Not just to allow us to survive and to kind of get by in training through COVID, but when we faced this and started having discussions about virtual, I remember Dave saying his wheels got to turning and he realized that this could really be better than ever for our training. And we just started asking how can we get this done? What this new virtual training program has done on the surface is it's eliminated 40% of pre-trained follow days and 40% of team training selling days, which is giving a lot of selling time back to our leaders. At the same time, it's eliminated the referral requirement coupled with the tech package that I just covered. which means more referrals and names for our leaders. It's also reimagined the entire schedule for a virtual context. So we no longer are tied to long training weeks with 10 hours of content a day, which is something that you only do from a learning standpoint if you've paid for flights and hotel and you need to get as much done as possible. This allows us to do micro training so that people can learn and do, and then come back and learn a little bit more, and then do a little bit more. And lastly, it allows us to teach virtual selling as a primary tool in the selling process, which we all have very, very creative and forward-focused ideas on what that could mean for Tom James in the pursuit of $1 billion. So don't just take it from me, though. I want to share some perspectives from our leaders and new partners that have just been through this process.
So I love the new training model that we've got. I think it helps because new partners aren't getting everything all at once. It's teased out over several weeks. From a leadership perspective, I think it also frees up our schedules a little bit more to continue to build our business and have allocated time for ride days and allocated time where we know they're doing training. As well as just through teaching sales school, I think it helps them retain what we teach because it's spread across many weeks as opposed to all at once. So I think the design is intentional and effective, and I think the burden on the leaders is lessened. I would imagine it's going to have a big impact on just retention of information as well as just ability to continue to hire more and more people.
Virtual training has just been fantastic. First of all, unlike training before where you were brought in for a week, we have a weekly rhythm of training, not only with our people, but also with our leaders. And during that time, we are able to share ideas, and we also are able to constantly be looking at best practices in a regular weekly basis of flowing of new ideas. And because everybody is connected, the accountability is through the roof. The group thinking and the ability for each person to receive new ways to try new things, whether it's connected to new clients, whether it's on LinkedIn, and whether it is virtual presentations, it has all been nothing short of fantastic. I have not seen a more connected group of leaders as a result of this format in all the years that I've been training. In fact, the level of expectation of our newest partners and the way that they work together has never been higher. This way of training is going to be the most successful training that we have ever done.
It has been incredible. I've loved it. Really the main reason is because since we're with Olivia more often, it's nice that we have those days to really make sure that we can get 5+ people on the books and make sure that everyone confirms, and it just shows more intentionality.
You know, before it was so frustrating as a one-man office for so long, trying to do every little detail every single day. And with this, it's a much more fun. It's working fantastic. We love it, and we're having fun.
We absolutely love the new training program that our new partners are getting to go through. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Kara stays here at the office on a Zoom training call with different people from around the company, learning the different things that it takes to become a clothier with Tom James.
I'm so grateful for the amazing leadership team we've had for reevaluating our training model. It's been great for my new partner. He's loved the ride-along setup, allowing him to really absorb all the information he's been given in sales school and then applying it to the field the following day. I'm also grateful for all the amazing prospecting tools he's also been given. It really allows us to filter through, find qualified prospects, and get results immediately. This creates more excitement and more sense of ownership in the process.
My favorite part about our training is Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think they're just great lessons on how to kind of kickstart our business and our opportunities here at Tom James. It's really nice hearing different people talk each week to kind of get their experiences and how they got through some of the adversity that they went through. But yeah, I've really enjoyed every part of it.
For me, as a new partner at Tom James, I would say the best part about the training process, now that it's virtual, is I get more of an opportunity to bond with my fellow sales classmates. Whereas before, maybe we would see each other at the beginning, and then maybe for sales school too. Now, in this situation that we're in, we're Zoom calling every night, having laughs, enjoying each other's company, helping each other out, creating teams and so forth. So I really think that that's been my favorite part, as well as the gratitude sessions with David Weichel on Thursday mornings, really talking about that and helping us really think through it, have not only been more than beneficial, but have really helped, I guess, reinstate the fact that when you approach things with that level of gratitude, that things are only going to get better from there.
My favorite thing about the virtual training is getting paired up with Bryson Dowers. We actually grew up not too far from each other, so that was nice to be able to bond over. Every Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons, I look forward to speaking with him, being able to share some of our experiences that we've had to benefit from one another.
Well, I really like that in the beginning of the day, we kind of get to talk with different people, like Lauren was saying, and then whenever we get done with our training and we're entering names and calling people, we still get to talk with each other, so we've gotten really close, and I think that's really important since we weren't actually able to be with each other. So I've been very thankful for getting to meet everyone in my sales class.
My favorite part of my Tom James training is that I get 3 full days to follow my different trainers in the field and observe their styles and techniques, along with 2 days of targeted skill training. So this makes it really easy to digest and apply these principles over a longer period of time, but in smaller chunks. The principle-based training at Tom James is really unlike anything I've seen at any other company, and I'm very confident that I will be a better person from working at Tom James.
My all-time favorite part about training so far is just the connections I have been able to make with my sales school friends. Even though we are miles and miles apart and time zones apart, we get together each night on a Zoom call to enter names together, and it's that community, it's that support that is just unbeatable.
So my favorite part about training has been the focus on getting our mind right every day, setting goals and saying things that we're grateful for, and then being able to share that with our awesome new partners. It's been really nice to be able to connect with these people.
And you know, guys, when you face something like this, you just try to continue to put one foot in front of the other. And while training has been doing their adjustments, recruiting has been hard at work, making adjustments and improvements as well. One of the most significant things that happened this year in the recruiting space is that for the first time, I believe since 2005, or maybe a little bit beforehand, we hired a full-time focused exclusively on recruiting, director of recruiting. We hired a leader out of C.H. Robinson, an $18 billion company that we run across on campuses all over the United States on a regular basis. Her name is Stephanie Lane. She works out of our Atlanta office as of this week. She started with us in February. Stephanie was principal recruiter in the Southeast region and for C.H. Robinson, and personally responsible for hiring 145 people in 2019, all on her own. Our largest campus, by comparison, brought in 24 people at the highest level that we've seen at Tom James. Stephanie comes to us from a company that hires 4,500 people per year. She knows what the future looks like in terms of systems and processes. She is Tom James people culturally. She is a lead by example individual that knows how to get out and pound the pavement and recruit talent. And as you take a look at it, she has paired very well with our ORL team that was already in place, and it's been really cool to see them learn to work together. Kay Kaczorowski, Ryan Bell, Clay Turner, Kiara Timmons, and Amy Sachs. You can see what the impact has been of this change, not only with Stephanie's leadership being brought into the fold, but also with the implementation of the virtual interview process. We went from being off pace on our hiring to being on pace and now ahead of pace. in just 3 quick months. And that is really, really good for Tom James' future, because in spite of everything that we've been facing this year, we are going to end this year with more sales professionals selling and a net gain, very poised to start building the future of Tom James. And with that, Todd, I will hand it back over to you.
Well, Josh, before you get off, I just, yeah, you're a little too quick. I just want to say thank you to you, Josh. You have been absolutely extraordinary. Not just during this time, but since you came back to Tom James. And you've had a lot of responsibility, and you've grown with that responsibility, both personally and professionally. And I know that Tom James has made a big impact with you as well as with your family. But you've had a great impact on all of us, including myself. And you've just been fantastic and extraordinary in the way you've represented all the people at Tom James. So from all of us, we want to thank you very, very much.
Well, I speak for everybody in my department when I say that we just want to be worthy of what everybody's doing out there.
Amen. Thank you, Josh. You all know that we have not only made significant changes and adjustments to provide for our current growth and future growth, but we've continued to be a leader in the manufacturing area as well. We in the past have shared with you updates on our environmental responsibility with our solar project at IS. I'm pleased to share a video with you all that will show you the completion and the operation of this great initiative.
Three years ago, Individualized Shorts began to study the feasibility of a solar energy system. 3 years ago, Individualized Shorts began to study the feasibility of a solar energy system to replace the electricity it used from the local utility. After a lot of study, the Tom James Board gave the go-ahead in December of 2018. With over 200 sewing machines, IS uses a lot of power. Construction began in the fall of 2019, beginning with upgrading the electrical infrastructure at the building. The system has over 1,400 individual solar panels and produces over 600,000 kilowatt hours of power in 1 year. This is enough power to run 75 homes, or to provide 100% of the power Individualized Shorts needs to operate. The completed system was certified on March 20th, and solar energy began flowing to all parts of the Individualized Shorts facility. The Individualized Shorts solar power system will save over 500,000 pounds of coal each year. It will provide solar energy to power Individualized Shorts for the next 20 years.
Well, y'all, what you have there that you should be just so proud of is that you've got the largest, you're an owner of the largest all green shirt facility in the world. And y'all, not only have we been innovators with manufacturing, with our women's business, but also you can see from recruiting to training, to innovation. It is an exciting time to be at Tom James. And I hope that you all are as encouraged and excited as I am, as you look at all of the changes, all of the adjustments that we have made that are not just bringing us through this time to survive, but to thrive. And you all, we are not only at the forefront of the greatest time in our Tom James history, but I cannot think of any other business or company that if I was starting today from scratch, it'd be Tom James. It'd be this business at this exact time. Why? Because think about it. People will always need clothing. Clothing makes people feel good. You get an opportunity to do business with the movers and the shakers of every one of our communities. And you know what? We get to serve them in exactly the best way that they want to be served today. And that is either directly or virtually. And you know what? Those are the two methodologies that because of this time, that not only have we done well at, but we perfected. And we perfected it with the finest group of people anywhere in the world. From sellers, to sewers, to weavers, to counters. Y'all, we have got an extraordinary company with absolutely extraordinary people. As we talk about, y'all, our next growth chapter at Tom James, the fall of 2020. What's the best way for us to predict our future? What is the best way for us to predict our July, our August, our September, our October, our November, and our December? Well, the very best way is for each of us to create it. So you all, let's do just that. Let's create the finest fall that collectively we have ever had. We have got the support at our back. We've got the technology. We've got all the other resources for us to have the finest fall in our company history. Each of us individually and each of us collectively. Because you all, when you focus on your growth story of increasing your July over your June, your August over your July, and you do that throughout this fall season, every one of us are going to look up December 31st with a smile on our face, and we're going to feel really good about what we just accomplished together. Why? Because this is our company. And when this is our company, we act like it's our company. And collectively, we will win together, we will give together, and we will do this wonderful life together that we collectively call Tom James. You all, thank you for your time today. Thank you for embracing this virtual international meeting. It will be the finest we've ever done. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Today, we went just a little bit long, but I hope that with all that we had to share with you, that you recognize that it was well worth it. This evening, start going to work on your next growth chapter this fall. God bless each of you all. Have a wonderful evening and look forward to an even greater day tomorrow. Bye for now.
One second, y'all.
Sorry, LeVar.
Yes, thank you, Todd. I appreciate that. I'm going to wrap us up before we roll, though.
Yes, sir.
But that said, Todd, thank you so much for the behind the scenes look at all the decisions, the very tough decisions that our leadership team has made, and the way that you guys have positioned us for success going forward. And so I really enjoyed that. On behalf of the company, I would like to say thank you for that inside look and for everything that the leadership team does for Tom James. Y'all, that was amazing couple of hours. Be excited for tomorrow because it gets even better. It continues, it goes on and on. So at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will set it off again tomorrow. We're going to get to recognize the top 20 in all of Tom James for last year, 2019. All the ridiculous results that they put up. It's inspiring, it's encouraging. Be ready to show them some love, followed by an opportunity to recognize our first-time President's Club achievers. Yes, they sold 1,000 units in a 12-month period, and they deserve some love. They are also inspiring, and I cannot wait to hear their stories tomorrow as well. That will be followed by none other than Mark Reiner, Richmond, Virginia, Milo Rubin, Washington, D.C. They're going to give us a nice step-by-step rundown of how to cultivate new clients on LinkedIn Premium and Sales Navigator. They've got it worked out, y'all, so be ready to take some good notes on that. Followed by Jared Myers from Orlando, Florida. He is the master, y'all, of preparing for clients, presenting to them, closing the deal, serving them so well that they can't wait to buy more and more from him. So be ready for that session as well. You're going to also have Emily Franson. She is the master of VOE. Now tell me, is that visual order entry or is that virtual order entry? I don't know, but she's the master of it, and she's going to help us out with it tomorrow. And then you got Bill Yonke, selling on delivery. He's got some systems down, locked and loaded in place that gives him the best opportunity to make sure that he keeps that ticket open and continues to sell on delivery with each face-to-face interaction with his clients, y'all. So be ready for that as well. And for those of you who are certified for the new women's collection, you'll also get to hear a few more details from Rebecca Garces on that program. So in about 14 and a half hours, y'all, be back here for a really exciting day. So with that said, enjoy the rest of your day and night. If you're down under in Australia, enjoy the rest of your morning. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Ta-ta for now.